Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. This is Chimera Elite, and today we're taking a look at something new. It's been a while, so Dogs of War is dead. Wasn't really having too much fun playing more time. So I found this interesting new game that seems to be like a mix of Dogs of War Online almost, Hearthstone, and Magic the Gathering. And it's called Duelyst. With a Y, because, why not? Now, right now I'm playing the, mainly just the Songhai faction, and they're interesting. But, for those of you who, haven't played too much Hearthstone or Magic, or, hell, even Dogs of War Online, let me just explain some kind of simple things about the game. You flip a coin, you either go first or you go second. If you go first, you get to move first, do all your things first, and so on. But you start off with fewer mana crystals. You see that right under my name in the top left. If you go second, you start off with 3 though, which, I just prefer doing that. Because generally, going second, it just fits my playstyle more. You get to catch things out. Kinda almost fits with how I used to play the Worgen, which is funny. Now, the bubbles give mana. If either you or one of your creatures, one of your cards, one of your units steps on one of those, you get a free mana crystal, for a turn. The first, say, 2 or 3 turns of the game are really just about controlling those 3 spots. One of the best things you can do, but it's also still very difficult, is to wait, because it's kind of almost you tiptoeing around the enemy. You could be super aggressive, but you don't necessarily want to waste that mana bubble, because 1 turn is a lot of damage. Right now I have 3 card points. If I had gotten a bubble and wanted to, I could have summoned a pretty powerful creature. But I chose not to, and I chose instead to use some removal, which worked out alright. Now, Zeal, you see 2 things on the card. You see Zeal and you see Provoke. Provoke specifically talks about the creatures and its positioning. It's like Taunt in Hearthstone. You have to attack that creature first before you can do anything else. However, in this game it's a bit different because there's actual, positioning matters a lot more. You're rooted and you have to attack that creature before you can do anything else. However, with my bloodline power, essentially, I can blink that assassin behind the guy with Provoke. And because he's special, the assassin, with Backstab, when you attack from behind, you don't take damage, aka from a riposte, and he deals a little bit of extra damage, which really came in handy. I can just kill it right off the bat. Now, Zeal, pretty simple. If you're within 1 square of your general, you get bonus damage, or whatever bonus is specific to that card. Here's another Provoke card, one of my favorites. This doesn't hit super hard, but is relatively tanky and requires a pretty concerted effort to actually remove. here I was trying to consider, should I provoke? Or should I have just, you know, just take out and plop something that was pretty powerful, but without provoke? It's an interesting combo, because, you know, you could have a really big thing, like that rock golem, or whatever it's called. Or you can have something that's technically weaker, but has more utility almost. And this is where I believe they have something to do with lions, but essentially they gain many benefits from having high health units. And you just saw, he just turned that 3-6 into a 9-6, and then attacked. There's his bloodline power. That's a permanent buff, by the way, I'm almost certain. Very powerful, very powerful. Now, I only really got into the game a little while ago, so I still have to really tweak my deck. But, you know, the more you play, the better feel you get for the mana curve, for the strategies, for positioning, same like Dogs of War Online, and mana curve is still very important in these types of games, which sets it apart from, again, a game like Dogs of War. Also, there's only one map, which might seem kind of dull, but it's still really interesting to me. And also, if you've noticed, I've been kind of on a back foot this entire game. I occasionally make strides to stop him cold, but I'm still having a lot of trouble, you know, holding him off and actually getting a decent foothold before he kills everything on my field. Also, one other mechanic I didn't really talk about is the ability to replace cards. Think of it like an ongoing mulligan almost. And you can replace one card every turn. Now, the concession that they make is that in the beginning, you can only mulligan 2 cards. In Hearthstone, you can get rid of your entire hand and start from scratch. Another Martyrdom, very, very good removal. And he actually messed up and healed me instead of himself. But again, he still has great board control. He has more creatures than I do. And I don't have any provoke cards, meaning that even if I did put out a massive card, it wouldn't do me as much good as I would hope. Here I'm thinking, how can I run away and protect my ass, essentially? How can I keep myself alive a little bit longer and maybe find something to really turn this game around? I call it a little bit of a problem. I don't really have a win condition. It's just something that my friends kind of mention occasionally when I was starting out playing Magic the Gathering. I didn't have enough win conditions. Essentially, it's the same with this game. I need stronger cards, specifically stronger end game cards. But fortunately, it's not especially difficult to gain gold, at least at this point, at this early stage in the game. So I'll have a decent and relatively steady influx of new cards, which works out pretty well. Again, still on the back foot. He's still summoning a lot of creatures that I am having lots of trouble dealing with. Again, summoning sickness is a thing, so it's very difficult to get a foothold if you're constantly getting pushed back. This is also a massive misplay on my part in summoning that 5 creature. I honestly should have summoned the 6 cost sooner. and because of not misreading but also just false hope, I suppose, I summon the 5-cost, the Dancing Blades, but it's facing to the right, as you can see. If it was facing to the left, that Blade Zealot would be dead, because, you know, that's how it works. But I didn't read, I wasn't thinking, I misplayed. So its ability has gone to waste, and I have, while I do have a 4/6 on the board, it probably would have been more beneficial to me to summon the 8/8 Steel Golem instead, which is the 6-cost that you see down there. Now that card I just got is completely useless. I mainly got it after one very nasty run-in with a Magmar player that buffed his hero's attack to something like +8. Very, very painful. Essentially, I wanted something to deal with it again if I ever ran into another player like that. I have not yet, but again, I can just replace that card if I need to with something that might give me a bit more of an advantage, so to speak. Now, Exun is a fantastic card. Not just because it's a 5/5. It's a 5/5 for 7. Let's be honest, that's not actually much value, but if you take a look at its abilities and its attributes, you get painted a very different picture. It has 2 abilities. 1, Force Field. Think of it like Divine Shield from Hearthstone. The first damage you take every turn is negated, and it's actually stronger than what's in Hearthstone because the Force Field comes back up every turn. So you have to hit it twice. So I could summon that 8/8, but it's not really going to do me much good because versus the 5/5, it's got 2 turns to live, and that's about it. It's assuming Buckets here doesn't have any sort of removal for it, which is just wasting my time, essentially. The second part of Exun's ability is that if it's attacked, or if it attacks, he gets to draw a card, which is just amazing, because he only has 2 cards in his hand right now. That card draw is amazing for making sure he keeps on top of me and prevents me from really doing much of anything. Exun might not necessarily be a win condition, but it's certainly an extremely powerful minion that allows him to quickly get to his win condition, and on top of that, be a constant thorn in my side that, while not strong enough to outright kill everything that I have, I can't outright kill it unless I have enough things and enough mana invested in directly trying to kill it. Because I have to hit it twice. Once with any amount of damage, and a second time with at least 5 points of damage. That's rough. And that weird beast with the eye is, you summon it, you can teleport your enemy, and then a unit of your enemies to anywhere on the board. It's really very, very, very powerful. If they have something big that you can't deal with, that you need dead immediately. And here I buff my range unit, hit Exun, but again I had to resort to using my hero to do that, which generally you really, really, really don't want to do. It's not a good idea to do that. Your hero is your most important unit, and not necessarily your strongest. And here is when things went completely south. That's a 2/8. It's now a 10/8, and specifically it can activate twice, so that's 20 damage to the face. Good game, Buckets. You wiped the floor with me. hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will be making more. Until next time.